Hey, welcome everyone. This is Studio W, the Buzz, your global radio network. Hey, we circle the globe 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you'll find some fine broadcasting here on this network. Hey, speaking of which, this is time. I'm getting a little feedback here. Let's see if we can fix that. Oh, let's see if it's me. All right. Okay. Okay. I think we found the culprit. That's you, Mike. You getting something's buzzing.
I've got a little fan over here.
Okay. Uh, can you kind of quiet that a little bit? Hey, welcome. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Boomerang Radio Show. And we have a very special program tonight and a very special guest with us also. But before we get into that, I want to say hello to my good friend, Ann Taylor. Hey, Ann.
Hey, my friend, how are you?
I am pretty terrific. And also my buddy, Mike Ward. As soon as he get his technical thing going on, we oh, still hear
How am I
some
doing?
buzzing. Yeah, still hear some buzzing there. Okay, so he'll get that fixed,
How about
and
now?
still a little bit. Yes.
There's
Oh,
nothing here. Nothing's running.
okay,
Oh well, I
okay.
don't know what that is.
Okay, I'll turn your mic back on after we introduce our guests. All right, so we'll get to it. Today, I wanted to talk about um, a special guest that's coming on, and that is uh, Dr. Steve,
Mhm.
Dr. Stephen W. Bell. Am I correct?
Mhm. Yep.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
you you got it.
I that's right. And Ann wanted, he was on Ann's show yesterday, and
Mhm.
Ann has some wonderful guests on it. And I won't use the word steal, but a few times I will appropriate. And
Poach.
that's a that's a compliment to you, my friend. You have some wonderful guests on. So I want to thank you for
Praise the
that.
Lord. Mhm.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Steve, but your main focus and field has to do with mental health and mental illness. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And more specifically, it's the intersection of the theological and the therapeutics.
Okay. So a couple of things we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about the cause and effects of mental illness, and also what role does religion and politics play in that, and
Mhm.
what causes mental illness. Because I hear, the Native Americans used to tell the Europeans, "You're speaking with forked tongue." You know, hey, you're above God. You love God. I want everyone to be godly. And then on the other side of the tongue, uh, preaching fear or invoking fear,
Mhm.
hatefulness, bigotry, stealing, lying of harm. And none of those things are about God.
Mhm.
And Dr. Steve, Mike sent me a picture, a Photoshop earlier this week, and I thought it was just somebody just making a prank or something like that. And it was a Photoshop of Donald Trump uh, as the Pope. I said, "Oh man,
What?
this has to be his. Oh yes." And I don't know whether you saw this or not, Dr. Steve. I don't know whether you saw it or not. And then I went. Uh, okay, Mike is
Mhm.
trying. I want Mike to get in on this. Oh shucks.
Well,
Let's
I
see.
do know that he said that he was running the world now. So,
Well, he
uh,
did say that, and
uh,
I have proof because he was on the White House lawn, and someone asked him the question. He said, "Yeah, I would like to be Pope." Let me do
stop.
this, and I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna tie this all together because I find that uh, no matter what your religion is or whatever you follow, you need to respect mankind. Okay,
Mhm.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Tuesday joked that he would like succeed uh, Pope Francis, who died last week at the age of 88. Okay, according to Reuters, and this is true, right? And then on Wednesday, Lindsey Graham I said, I was excited to hear that President Trump is open to the idea of being the next pope. This would truly be a horse. I agree with the dark part, horse candidate, but I would like to ask the Papal Conclave and Catholic faithful to keep an open mind about this possibility.
What?
Okay.
Make it stop.
No, seriously,
Make it
I looked
stop.
it up. This is not hearsay or anything like that. Hey, Mike, you back?
How am I sounding? Okay.
Great, sounds great.
Excellent. Sorry for that, folks.
I think you missed the what we were talking about because you sent me that. I was talking about the text you sent me earlier this week about Trump with the looking like the Pope, right? And I said, "Oh man, this is parody. This is a joke." And he said on the White House lawn, out of his lips, that yeah, I would like to be Pope. And then Lindsey Graham backed it up, so thought it was a good idea. Now, why am I saying? Yeah, really. It is really crazy that these people are invoking religion with politics. There should be a separation of church and state, in my opinion. But just, Dr. Steve, what are we dealing with, and how does that affect the rest of us?
Sure. The short of it is that we've mishandled and misclassified our understanding of the Christian faith or religion in some sense. The idea is that Christianity, and let's just stay with that for now because that's my background, is the idea that Christ is at the center, meaning that he sits on the throne room of our hearts, our minds, and all that we think about. So he is at the forefront of our faith. But what happens is that when you begin to make religion anthropocentric or man-centered, then anyone can sit on that throne that we deem worthy. And again, that idea of deeming worthy can vary from person to person. And right now, because political influences affect what we deem worthy, it would make sense for the person who is occupying the White House, who already has a very narcissistic view of himself and almost deifies himself to some degree, to reinforce our understanding of this anthropocentric religious position that does not reflect the faith and tradition of traditional Orthodox religion, right?
Preach.
And so then that begins to shift our focus from a vertical to a horizontal. So now I'm not looking at something that transcends me. Now I'm looking at something I can touch, which has always been the case with humanity. Humanity always wants to have something that they can touch, and they call it idolatry, right? Something that we can touch and fashion in our own image that we can now, watch this, control rather than now yielding to an authority that is higher than I. And I think when you have someone who is narcissistic, that is self-centered, then they embrace that, not reject it. And that only emboldens those who are followers of that deified figure.
Preach,
and it takes this religion into a tailspin and becomes a watered down version of what we ascribe to in a traditional Orthodox religion.
How does it happen that you see someone who's saying, yep, and they're embracing supposedly maybe the religious aspect of it, call themselves Christians and things of this nature, but on the other side will go on and invoke, in many cases, cruelty on people, such as taking away their rights. Let's talk about in schools, for instance. There's one party that wants to take away the school lunch program. And I just say I have a clip that I could play here in a little bit, and it was talking about taking away, defunding the grant for mental health for children. And many of them have been involved, like with the is it Uvalde shootings or the mass shootings around the country involving our children. And then they want to take, as a matter of fact, they've taken it away. They've taken it away, and they're talking about in the efforts of efficiency. When you have the United States right now, what they're trying to propose, especially Republicans, they are trying to, and I'm not trying to make this a Republican, Democrat, anything, but I'm talking about who's in control and who's pushing this, okay? And they want to increase the military or the defense budget to $1 trillion, yet cut veterans benefits. Now, how are you going to do that? So what are you telling the American public? Oh, yeah, we're going to take care of you while you're fighting for us. But once you leave us, you're pretty much, you can kind of be on your own. We're going to give you a little bit. But this is actual factual stuff. I think that all of us owe our military, I mean, just tons and tons and tons of gratitude for what they've done over the fighting for the country. So, and all of this could also lead to a mental, let's say, deficiency or even cause mental illness in so many ways. You take away the benefits, you take away the money, and now any of us that have been a lack of, if you have a lack of money, then that could cause stress. Okay, which is not going to help you with whatever physical problem you have. But how on one end you're going to increase your defense budget, okay, and take away veterans benefits? Let's acknowledge Dr. Sims. Hey, Dr.
Hey,
Sims.
lady, how you doing?
Okay. Meet Dr. Steve. He's our guest today. Okay. So, Dr. Steve, and when you start taking away programs, like I said, the military, school lunch programs, and also mental illness programs, how does that affect our children, our veterans, and us as a society?
Well, I think the starting place we have to look at is that, so let's just kind of keep it a buck. What we have now as a version of Christianity is not a Christianity that fits within the scope of the Bible. Okay, so we have an American Christianity that would allow us to compartmentalize based on our political leaning. So whatever that political leaning now becomes the filter by how I practice this faith. And so if my political leaning is now to disenfranchise or devalue or defund or bring or take away resources to those who are in need, then that's how I will behave, because the reality is what you believe is how you will behave. And so therefore, if I have an American Christianity that says I could ignore the least of these in our community because I see them as a pariah or always in need, even in some instances, you've seen some people who have a political leaning that is right, that would suggest that we need to stop just talking about the minority. Let's talk about the majority. Why? Because their political leaning filters how they now practice this American Christianity that is less than the standard by which is written in the scriptures. So again, when we talk about, first of all, American Christianity, that's going to always influence, how we take care of those who are the least of these. So children getting left behind. You have others like the veterans who get ignored. The idea of the kind of the traditional sense of Christianity is to say that everyone is seen, everyone is heard, everyone is valued. And if anything, I'm going to prioritize those who have been pushed to the margins, because that's the life that was patterned by Christ in his earthly ministry.
Amen.
And when that's the truth, then I look through that lens, not again this political filter that distorts what I understand how to practice this faith. And unfortunately, we're just in a day and age where, let's just be honest, power is attractive. Power is sexy. Power is what people are claiming and want to clamor for. And that's not near and dear to what is written throughout the scriptures. And so we'll have a less version, unfortunately.
A lesser watered down version of Christianity. That's sad. All day, every day. All day, every day. Well, I'm glad to have you here. And before we go further, I am going to give you a proper introduction because you're my friend, and I think people ought to know this about you. Dr. Stephen Bell serves as the senior pastor of All Nations Community Church, where his vision is to foster a kingdom community where lives are radically transformed by Christ. With over 20 years of pastoral leadership and counseling experience, he is committed to the philosophy that life is better in community. Dr. Bell holds a Bachelor of Science in Leadership and Ministry from Central Baptist College, graduating magna cum laude. He earned his Master of Divinity from Memphis Theological Seminary and was conferred the Doctor of Ministry and Pastoral Counseling from Liberty University in February 2025. A trailblazer in ministry, Dr. Bell was the first African American elected as vice president of the Arkansas Baptist State Convention in 2015. He also served as a church planting strategist, equipping leaders and planting churches across urban areas in Arkansas. His pastoral journey includes significant roles as a senior pastor, hospice chaplain, and advocate for spiritual and emotional well-being. Beyond the pulpit, Dr. Bell has a deep passion for mentorship and community service. He's volunteered with Habitat for Humanity, Big Brothers, and served on various boards. Notably, he served as chairman of the board for Exalt Academy of Southwest Little Rock and was a member of the Police and Clergy Alliance. His life verse is Proverbs chapter 9, verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And he's married to my friend and soror Jocelyn Bell. They got 3 kids, Olivia and Robinson, who I have not met because y'all had after you moved. But another thing he does not mention in his bio is his heart for missionary work. And when he was pastor here at Otter Creek Community Church in Little Rock, he led mission trips to the Dominican Republic for several years in a row, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a man who I know for a fact is in love with Jesus, has a heart for kingdom building work, and has a heart for spreading the love of Christ to everybody. But not only that, he loves people as Christ intends for us to love people. And I thank God for making him